So we are live.
We all
Hi
are.
there. I'm
Yeah.
I'm Rob Harvey.
I'm Charles Silverman.
Welcome to the Goats in the Machine, tongue-in-cheek, evolving digital video accessibility practices. We're dealing with three kind of core issues or questions that we put to ourselves that we thought people may attending this session, this virtual session, might benefit from. Um, all having to do with how do we provide equitable and accessible digital video content, which is increasingly prevalent through curriculum, websites, the online experience, to a wider range of people to meet their needs, whether they're hard of hearing, um, deaf, low vision, blind, and or experiencing cognitive and another a wide range of abilities or challenges that help people to stay on a even playing or learning or comprehension field.
And a big part of communication is that you have access to general knowledge, shared information that comes about in one manner continuously through video and audio. And on one hand, I'm amazed at all the changes. As I sit in front of you, I've got automated captioning. If everything is automated now, that's the thing that we're all striving for. Um, if it good automation, that's a different question. I can see everything that's good and I can see everything that doesn't work so well. But currently, it's nearly good enough for me. It doesn't mean that it will create a fully equitable, level playing field. But it means I'm in a place that I haven't been before, which is I have sufficient tools to kind of make something out, and kind of making something out is actually pretty good compared to not, or compared to somehow figuring out how to have a live human captioner with me every moment, every day, and how do you go about funding that?
On the one hand, as somebody who is hard of hearing and you're being able to follow the plot, it's constantly a challenge. As long as I've known you, you've had to extrapolate what's being said and retort or respond in an appropriate manner without feeling inadequate, because you still have to construe. So you've mentioned that to some extent, some of the technology just works to an extent when conditions are right and speakers speak clearly. But in many other ways, you've had to innovate yourself, um, or work at it, including trial and error or attempts at utilizing different sorts of technologies, especially when it comes to live video conferencing like we're in now. So you're using a combination at this very moment. It's not all writ large or evident to you viewers, or for those of you who may be listening as well, but there's no current captions on the screen other than those that we'll provide post-session that are going to be accurate. Charles, do you want to speak to that as to what you're experiencing live right now on your side?
So what I'm experiencing live right now is the automatic captioning, which comes as part of the Zoom package. It's which, the interesting thing about this feature is not only that it's automated, but there's times when it's actually pretty useful. And there are other times when it's like having a bad hair day or it's having a bad caption day. It's coming up with words that are so far away from anything spoken. Um, the other little thing to remember though is that I've got a between and betwixt situation in that because I have partial hearing, it's not that I miss everything. It's about the combination of a visual hearing and being able to pick up things that are crucial and looking at what the captions are generating. So I'm a little more tolerant of when mistakes are made. I try different things out all the time, and right now I've been testing a tablet that does local rather than cloud-based speech-to-text translation. I'm using Apple's newly released iPhone speech-to-text iOS feature. It's not as good as some things, but it looks like it's making progress. What I have also noticed is radio broadcasts where speakers are professional and well tuned to knowing how to project, and that makes for really decent capturing.
Well, especially with us, you never know what's coming next, and sometimes things veer into the surreal. But here's
Yeah.
one of the first sort of pragmatic questions I wanted to pose for this session, which is, as an individual or institutional member or staff, how do I
Mhm.
provide web video to ensure equitable access? And now, sure, one can outsource. It kind of removes you from familiarization of the process and the pragmatics. But we wanted
I,
to address, could you DIY in that context? And and part of the solution involves the sorts of tools and techniques you might use, supplemented by better practices that might be conveyed through learning resources that are online, or maybe taking some courses, because you don't just turn on a technology and hope that it's going to be thoroughly effective. Not yet, anyways, in our experience. But we also touched a bit earlier upon some of the innovation that you have um, um, shown over the years and over the decades, because the solutions out there weren't good enough. And one of those is a tool called CapScribe, which originated back when we worked together at the University of Toronto at the inclusive, pardon me, the ATRC, so the Accessible Technology Research Center. And over the years, that was a DIY tool to not only caption, not live, but post-production,
that was all about
as
post-production.
well as describe video, which is to say, to benefit those people who can't see the video, how do you insert a audible narrative of what visibly is going on? I'll pass the mic over to you, though, Charles.
Um, we covered a lot of material just from squishing all of that together. And I think when we talk about DIY, let's back up a little bit. It's not so, it's about organizations, and whether they're informal organizations or a special interest group, a company, an educational institution, a corporation. Do we farm out the work to another organization that has experience? Do we do it ourselves? Certainly there is a lot of promotion at the moment that you can contract out to a company that has a tool that will generate automatic captioning, meaning machine generated, often not good enough, and it needs some degree of cleanup, which these companies then say, you can do that, or we can do that. And I think the most important thing is that the people who are responsible for procuring captioned content really think about who's on the receiving end of this. What are they taking away from the experience? Are they able to gain the knowledge that you intend for everybody to gain? And how does that impact the quality of captioning that you're actually getting? With captioning, everybody sees the results in the room. And that's
Right.
where we need skill, we need thoughtfulness, we need a care for readability.
And I would add that quality control of actual proofing, because what I find is that all too often the person who makes the decision to go with an external service isn't going to have ever budget in the time to actually go through and assess that the output is actually accurate, anywhere remotely like what the marketing department of that said service claims, whether it's 98, 99, 100, or something ridiculous like 102% accuracy. Um, it's really important that that content gets proved because it represents your organization. It's very important that especially if you're, say, in an academic environment, that the student who's being assessed on the content is getting the right information, or that the CEO of your corporation is actually having any kind of captions representative of what their utterances are. Because, of course, they're not just nice to haves. These are legally mandated, depending upon
They
your
are legal.
region, if you're in Ontario, Canada, or States, or Europe and beyond. Question here, but is how good is good enough? Whether you're outsourcing or whether you're doing it yourself, is bad captioning better than no captioning to start with? So unfortunately, is that depends.
This is a quest. This is a quest that things need to evolve and get better all the time, rather than it's a checklist. Oh, we need captioning. Check. We've got the service. We can submit the file. They'll get something back to us. They'll probably miss half the acronyms because those are particular to us. Those are hard to make out. They'll struggle with bad miking, but you'll get something back. And
Yeah,
hopefully
checking boxes in digital accessibility across a broader scope, whether it's websites and whether they're fulfilling web content accessibility guidelines, of which captioning is
yeah.
for example, is just one, or description another. Unfortunately, too many people take the checkbox approach and care less about.
Simply not quite in your DNA until you actually need the service yourself, or you know someone who needs the service, and then you start noticing all the pitfalls of what's
I
coming.
think that's where I was going, but I didn't know how to say it so elegantly. Thank you. As if you were dependent upon the output or the quality of the product and its accessibility. The third issue that I wanted, the related issue that I wanted to broach and keeps coming up increasingly, is how easily can I, if I'm DIYing, pardon the acronym, but do it yourself, whether I can leverage automation, and should I? And I'll just give you my immediate knee-jerk feedback based upon our years of experience together, watching the evolution of automation as it got better and better, that we still are sitting on the fence around whether you can simply rely upon automated transcription / captioning. And description is far more complicated, but let's go with simple captioning. And we often use the expression of being led up the garden path, in that when automation offers you a suggestion of what was just uttered by a speaker or speakers, it's all too easy to believe in that offering as being the truth of what was uttered. And Charles and I trade many mondegrins, or things that sound like another. The classic being, with a nod to Jimi Hendrix, "Excuse me while I kiss the sky." Did I say the sky or this guy? Or if I say with a slight Quebecois or Francais inflection, artistry. Did I just say artistry or art history? But if it's really saying pertinent information in the context of legal or healthcare practitioner,
we have barriers we need to knock down. We have education we need to bring forward. We need to model, because captioning is one of those things. Captioning is one of those things that everybody benefits from. Someone's going to miss the proper name for a person, place, or thing. Somebody's not going to hear the number right. particularly if the captioning is human guided and has human intervention, the quality of that should improve quite significantly. We do need to train people to generate good captions, both live and recorded. But we also can, I think, begin to take advantage of some of the automated features.
Then to potential do-it-yourselfing for quality captions.
Mm.
And it means you may or may not, you may be able to leverage automation, but you do definitely have to go and rework that content, flash proof it to ensure that it's accurate. Something we haven't really touched upon is well-formedness of captions. Captioning, the art science of captioning is not simply about splaying a line or two of text across the width of the bottom of the screen. And as you may have experienced by now, the captions that we'll be providing are carefully parsed. Um, it takes into consideration how long the lines are, where the line returns are, that you're not breaking prepositional phrases, so on and so forth. And this entails some familiarity with some basic heuristics or rules of well-formedness. So there's not just technology, but there's technique. And that is the human in the loop, not the goats in the machine, but the actual
Yeah.
human leveraging the technology
Mhm.
in a combination that provides quality content that's meaningfully and with care uh, designed to be consumed with greater ease by our consumers. One of the things that we haven't really spoken of much here, though, is video description, and uh, and that involves providing an audio description of what visibly is happening on screen to benefit those who can't see so well or at all. And this is also within your potential wheelhouse of capability. Um, the tools are there. The technique, the know-how is, I would say, even more complex than captioning. It's not some esoteric or extremely, it is complex, but it's totally learnable. The tools are there. I mentioned CapScribe, and one can do it with conventional video editing tools. If you are familiar with, you can inject your own voice or a static one when you've got those gaps to describe the pertinent visual information. But what's even more important here is the learning resources, and they are available. What's really important is that we try to include everyone in as many ways as possible to what's going on. And previously, Charles had mentioned that, well, everyone can benefit from captions because there's a lot of information there that it's great to visually scan if you're capable of taking in that information as to what was said. Um, One of the considerations about video description or audio description is that not everybody wants that extra narrative going on about what visibly is going on screen.
And yet, there are sometimes conditions that can be met where having the audio description is great. It can prove beneficial for people who are learning English as a second language, because you're getting a rich review of what you're actually looking at. You're taking your daily commute, and you've got this movie that you're engaged with watching, only you're not watching it, you're listening to it. And the audio description potentially making up for the visual, not completely, but enough to tell the story. And I
Both
think people,
captioning and description may be actually of strong interest to people across a neuro or cognitively diverse spectrum. And one can search or one can reach out to us after this session, and we'd be happily able to point you in the right direction.